Chapter 1. Jacob the sleepwalker moves through the grey corridors of level 6. He takes the elevator down to level 3 and makes his way to the cafeteria, not really walking, but floating, his feet barely touching the floor. Normally he would go to the park and read his book in the shade of his favourite willow tree and fall asleep and have a handful of small dreams and then head back to work. But today the sky is pouring its heart out. The streets are crashing with rain, the roads have turned into rivers. So he buys his coffee and chooses a table in the back corner of the lead-lit hall and parks himself next to a fake plastic plant, hoping, but not confident, it will provide some camouflage. He opens his book and reads, but almost immediately his mind drifts off so that the words and sentences become melodies floating off the page and fusing with the sounds of the cafeteria. A memory joins the ensemble, and now he is sleepwalking down June Street when they are both still young and still dusting off the glitter of infinity, still crisp and transparent green. Before the beginning, before the end. It has been raining for days, and the air is rich with the smell of damp earth. The old man trees are bent over and laden with water, but now for the first time in what feels like forever, the sun has shown its smiling face and chased away the wind so that all is silent and spontaneously golden. Jacob arrives at June's house and catches his breath with frozen hands on his knees, bent over like the trees all up and down the street. He calls out to June's window. "Come out of your house, dreary child." June comes to the window. She smiles. She looks even sadder when she smiles. There's a storm behind her eyes. June opens the window. "What are you doing here, creep?" She calls out to him. "I came to see you, creep. Want to come watch the sunset?" "But it's raining," she says. "There is no sun." "Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And anyway, look, the sun is out." Jacob looks up at the sky and feels a whirl of sadness stir his insides. The sun has disappeared again. "Keep out, you devil sky," he whispers, and he makes a crucifix with his fingers and holds them up to the heavens. "What are you doing, creep?" "Wait there, I'm coming down." June closes the window, and a few minutes later she appears, wearing 2 pairs of pants, a buttoned-up coat, big brown boots, a beanie and scarf, and fogged-up sunglasses. The only uncovered parts of her are her marmoreal hands. "What do you need sunglasses for, creep?" Jacob asks. "Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there," she says. "Ah, good, you're listening." June uses her middle finger to move her glasses down so that Jacob can see her rolling her eyes. "Where are we going?" "Come on, I want to show you something." The 2 sleepwalkers walk with arms linked and hips attached and in lockstep rhythm, and June is happy to see Jacob, but doesn't tell him so. Instead, she puts her head on his shoulder and Jacob gets the message. "How you feeling?" Jacob asks. Hope seems far away, like a distant star. "We should drive down the coast to your dad's place," Jacob says. "Got to get out of the city to see the stars." "I can't see through these evil clouds anyway." "Just because you can't see it, yeah, June interrupts, "doesn't mean it's not there. You're not helping." "I wish I was the sun, so I could burn away the clouds for you," Jacob says. "The star of hope will return, I promise." "Hope is a kingdom of ashes in the moonlight," June says. The sun returns as Jacob and June make their way through the gardens, with steam rising up from the grass and the evening beginning to brush up against the day like a purring cat. The air is heavy with tomorrowness. I feel like this is already in the past, like this is just a memory, June says. The sun departs again. Jacob and June stand looking at the pond all dimpled with raindrops. What did you want to show me? She asks. Close your eyes. June closes her eyes. And then Jacob says, I knew an Italian painter once. He told me all his life he'd been looking for one thing, but he couldn't find it anywhere. So he spent his life trying to paint it, trying to find the right mix of colors, the perfect brush strokes. It's okay, he'd say. I'll find it when I'm dead. What was he looking for? June asks. Silencio. A woman comes over to Jacob's table and says, Wake up, love, with a hand on his shoulder, and takes away his coffee cup. It's 2:00. Time to get back to work. Jacob sleepwalks through the grey corridors of level 6, now forest green with remembering. He closes his eyes and feels his feet leave the floor, and he smells the damp earth and feels the cold mist of rain and June's hand in his, and then he hears it, like the far, far away sigh of that distant star of hope. Silencio. Chapter 2. The nights are longer here, moonless. Jacob's brain is a blackboard covered in code. He sits beside the Leviathan Sea. The water is like skin. It's unlike any sea Jacob has ever known. There are no waves, no storms. She doesn't sing, the sea, she only whispers. Tiny whispers of perfect nothingness. Sometimes he can still hear the sea's song. She sings and he sings along, singing her sadness to the sun, which is his sadness too. And somehow there is a resolution. He will sleep that night, and the dreams of home will come. But tonight she is silent, and if sleep won't come, then Jacob sleepwalks. Beneath the rainbow cliffs and past the giant white boulders, down into the sawdust valley, never ending, never beginning. The first time he climbed down into the valley, he had to walk with his eyes closed. The vastness and strangeness was too much for him. But now it is the only thing capable of wiping Jacob's code-riddled mind clean. It's like a giant duster. He looks up at a blackboard sky of stars and holds his hand up to the heavens, and with his finger joining the dots of light, he scribbles in the air a new equation for love. It involves vector motion, quantum entanglement, spooky action at a distance. He was hoping for an inverse relationship between love and distance, like gravity, magnetism, heat. Everything else in the universe diminishes with distance, but not love. The memories chase him, love's little intergalactic worker bees. He has a conversation with himself. It is always the same. Time to move on. To what though? What do you want? I'm looking for something. What are you looking for? I don't know. You don't want to know. Why not? Because if you knew, you might find it. But that's what I want. No, it's not. It's the wanting you want. It's the seeking you love. Why would I want to want? Because it's the best part. You don't know me. I know you better than you know yourself. The evening is still and the sea is silent, and there is no song to distract him from the things he buried in order to forget them. And then, like an animal picking up the scent of something irresistible, his mind fixes on a memory. He begins scratching at the dirt in the dark green undergrowth. And there it is, untouched, changeless, standing defiantly between the sand dunes in the gentle sun of an endless winter, as if the wrecking ball of time never came. Their house. June sits at her desk writing. She never tires. She sits there day and night tapping away at the keyboard. She stops every now and then and looks out the window at the sea, as if she is finding the words there amongst the waves. Jacob puts a cup of coffee on the desk beside her. Jimmy is sleeping at her feet and looks up at Jacob with questioning eyes. Is it time? Thanks, creep, she says. I'll be finished soon. Jacob knows that she won't, but he doesn't mind. He likes the sound of the keyboard and the way her thoughts curl up and nestle in her brow. Sometimes he thinks he can see tiny sparks shooting out of her eyes. He watches as she carves worlds out of thin air. Jacob goes fishing at sunset. That's when the fish swim close to shore. He walks down to the water with a bucket and fishing rod and Jimmy beside him. He sits on the end of the wooden pier, Jimmy standing guard, the cormorants holding their wings out to dry in the setting sun. He picks mussels from the pillars for bait and casts a line out and sits and waits. There is a storm out at sea, heading directly for them. He predicts 20 minutes until landfall. He waits for it. First the wind hits him, and then the rain. Jacob feels June's footsteps running down the pier, and she comes and says, "Let's go into the forest behind the dunes. It's beautiful in the rain." But no fish yet. It doesn't matter. Come on, we'll have wine for dinner. The air is thick with earth smell, and the trees are bright green, almost fluorescent, and the living mountain is teeming with ferns and mushrooms and young blades of grass that poke their tiny heads out of the ground to drink the rain. June says, "Look, their mouths are open. Mother Earth is feeding her babies." She stops and holds her face up to the sky and opens her mouth, and Jacob does the same. They let the raindrops fall on their tongues. They climb the mountain. She moves faster than him, always a few meters ahead. She turns to him, her hair wet with rain, and she stops and waits and then pulls him along for a while until he wrestles his sleeve free and lets her go ahead so that he can keep watching her. She skips over puddles and jumps off fallen logs, smiling, almost dancing. Jimmy is her shadow, sensing her delight, delighted by it. Back at the house, they light a fire and turn on the radio. They take off their wet clothes and warm each other's hands, and then Julia by the Beatles comes on, and June sings along. Julia, seashell eyes, windy smile, calls me, so I sing a song of love. Jimmy dances too, bent in half with excitement, turning around in circles and howling, singing along, both of them singing with the same sweetness and longing. Then he lies down beside the fire escargot style, perfectly still except for his eyes which follow their every move. The fire ignites like the fur of a feverish beast. Their arms are wrapped around each other, both holding on tight, both hoping for the same thing, hoping for time to stop, wishing for different laws of physics. It seems almost possible. "Everything is possible," Jacob whispers. June takes a quick deep breath and stops dead still. She looks at Jacob, eyes that are lights in the darkness, the eyes of a wild animal deciding whether or not to run. And then she says, "If I said stay, would you?" After a while, Jacob says no, because he wants to hear her say it. Stay. He climbs out of the sawdust valley and makes his way back at the break of day. The Leviathan sea is full of stars. It writhes ever so slightly in its sleep. Jacob looks out into the pale blue. He closes his eyes. In the distance, there is a storm. The word is like an arrow. He holds his arms out and waits for it to strike him. He wants to feel it pierce through him. It whistles past. Stay. Chapter 3. The sun scorches the city streets. Jacob runs, his back burning in the sun. It's a cruel companion. He passes through the shade of a tree and feels the cool embrace of relief, but then he misses the burn and welcomes the return of his fiery friend. He is on his way to meet June. He woke up to a message from her. Meet me at the plaza at midday. There's something I need to tell you. He glides through hot air. His motion is fluid. He and the air are not separate. They are one thing, like a wave in water. Jacob learnt to walk late. His parents were beginning to wonder whether he ever would. But then one day he was sitting on the grass in the front yard, and he stood up and ran across the lawn and out the front gate and kept running until his mother caught him a few meters from the highway. At first he didn't walk at all, he only ran. And he was fast from the beginning, light-footed and graceful. He loved to run. He ran from one side of the room to the other, and then he ran to school, and then to university. He ran to his friend's house 5 suburbs away. He ran to the arcade parlor. Wherever he went, he ran, and he ran just to run, with nowhere to go. He ran to meet June the first time they kissed. When he was 9, he told his mother he had run 4,322 steps home from school. She took his bag off his back and smiled and kissed him and said, "My little running man." She didn't realize that this was a precise measurement. His mind counts things: steps, days, stars, heartbeats, kisses. He's not aware that he's doing it. There is a program running in a minimized tab on the desktop of his mind that he can click on. All the figures are there. June knew before anyone did. In grade 3, she came over after school carrying a jar of jelly beans. There had been a competition to guess the number. "You won. Well done, Junie," Jacob's mum said. "Jacob won and gave them to me," June replied. "How many were there?" 378, Jacob said, with a mouthful of peanut butter sandwich. Jacob can count the leaves on trees. He counts everything, June told his mother, matter-of-factly. His parents started to cotton on, so they ran experiments to see how accurate his counts were. The numbers were flawless. Jacob arrives and the automatic doors slide open for him. The plaza is melting. It's a ghost town. A few red-eyed zombies walking around in a hot daze, shopkeepers sweating at counters, fanning themselves with magazines, crying red-cheeked children tugging on the arms of exhausted parents, pushing shopping trolleys and dreaming of other lives. June stands beside the claw machine in jean shorts, singlet, and bare feet. She's holding a fluffy pink alien. "I got one," she says, handing him the toy. "Thanks," Jacob says. "I haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been?" "I've been having strange thoughts," she says. "For a change." Jacob taps her on the arm. "What are we doing here? It's 1,000 degrees. Welcome to the apocalypse." It was good while it lasted, Jacob smiles. Kiss me before the world ends, June says. Huh? Kiss me, creep, before I change my mind. What are you talking about? Jacob says. June moves closer to Jacob. She puts her lips on his, and then quickly she takes them away. Jacob's eyes are closed. June is watching him. Then he feels her lips return. This time they stay longer and press harder. He opens his eyes, and she is watching him. She pulls away and takes a step back. Jacob records 2 kisses. June has a look of concentration on her face. Her brain is chewing over the experience, tasting it. Jacob tries to catch his thoughts, but they are flying too fast. It's been the 2 of them for so long. Now there are 6 of them. Jacob and June, as they have always been. But suddenly for Jacob there is a new June, and for June a new Jacob, and for Jacob a new Jacob, and for June a new June. 2 + 2 + 2 = 6. The 6 have not yet coalesced, suspended at first in a primordial goo of feeling that is sticky and strange. Creep, June whispers. Jacob isn't sure whether it's a statement or a question, or both. Creep, Jacob says, in answer to the question. The mystery weaves the chrysalis from strings of ancient light. June starts to walk backwards and says, "So I'll see you tonight?" "What's tonight?" "Butch Cassidy is on at the Astor." Jacob never misses a screening of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid at the Astor Cinema, but in this moment he has forgotten everything. "Yeah, I'll be there," Jacob says. Jacob watches June walk away slowly, and then she turns and says, "Hey, can you let me know when we get to 1,000? 1,000 what?" Jacob asks. "Kisses." Chapter 4. The foyer of the Astor Theatre smells like 100 years of dust and popcorn. June's dad took her there often before he left. He loved westerns, and June just loved to be with him. He used to tell her that when you walk through the doors, you step back into the past, and June believed it. Time slowed. The chandeliers glowed soft and warm. The majestic staircase beckoned. A golden curtain covered the screen, concealing a mystery, promising adventure and romance, and June would wait impatiently for it to open and slowly reveal a giant window to other worlds. After her father disappeared, she had dreams about the Astor. She'd sit and wait for him on the stairs while he went to buy the tickets. Sometimes he'd come back, but mostly he wouldn't. Then years later he called out of the blue and said he was back and he was dying and he'd like to see her. They met at the Astor. She brought Jacob along. And then the 3 of them went weekly for whatever Western was playing. Every week they'd sit in the cracked leather seats and he'd say, "This could be the last one. I hope it's good." And then one day, it was the last one. June is sitting on the stairs holding 2 tickets to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in one hand and a box of popcorn in the other. She is waiting for Jacob to arrive. She thinks he might not show up. Part of her is always sitting waiting on the stairs. But he does arrive, as always, wearing his running shoes and shorts and a flannel shirt, his cheeks red and hair messed up by the wind. June stands as Jacob approaches and hands him a ticket. For a moment the Astor melts away and they are back in the plaza, feelings blooming like flowers opening to the sun for the first time. They act like nothing's changed. Hey, creep. Hey. I got us popcorn. Looks like you've eaten most of it. Yeah, sorry, I haven't had dinner. Here, the rest is for you. Jacob knew that he would hold it and June would eat it. Should we go in? I really want the ending to be different this time, June says. They sit in the empty theatre, Jacob holding the popcorn, June taking the last handfuls and munching them down, her lips salty and burning. The movie plays. Explosions in the dark. The screen lights up the theatre and the inside of Jacob's head. June watches him. She never much liked the actual films. She just liked being in there with him. And besides, she doesn't need to watch the screen if she's watching him. It's all there in his eyes and his smiles. She tugs at his sleeve, but he doesn't respond. She tugs again and says, "Hey." "What?" he whispers, his eyes still fixed on the screen. "Nothing." She puts her head on his shoulder and takes his hand. June closes her eyes. She has the strangest feeling. She doesn't know what it is because she's never felt it before. And because it's foreign, her body tries to reject it, but she doesn't have the necessary means of defense. Jacob is reciting the dialogue. June keeps her eyes closed. She watches through Jacob, wants to see it through his eyes, feel his smiles. She wants to, maybe she even does, trust him. Butch and Sundance are injured, hiding in a building, discussing what to do next. They're running out of ammunition. The Bolivian army has got the place surrounded, 100 guns cocked and ready to shoot. There's no way out. They joke until the end. Butch suggests they go to Australia next, where the banks and the women are luscious. They decide to go out guns blazing and make a run for the horses. This means their inevitable death. June listens to Jacob whispering the lines. "Ready? Okay, when we get outside and we get to the horses, whatever happens, just remember one thing. Hey, wait a minute." "What?" "You didn't see Leffers out there, did you?" Leffers is a feared lawman hunting down the two outlaws. "Leffers? No." "Oh, good. For a moment there I thought we were in trouble." They go down in a hail of bullets. The end. June is crying. "Why are you smiling?" she asks Jacob. "Because they never gave up." "That's because they're stubborn assholes." Jacob wipes the tears from under June's eyes. It's the first time he has touched her face. "Let's get a drink," she says. Jacob leads June through the drunken crowd, the streets strewn with beer bottles and cigarette butts, the night charged with kids hell-bent on getting free. June remembers when they were kids, how Jacob was fearless, oblivious to danger. It was like that part of his brain was missing. And still, she thinks, he's not afraid of anything, except the one thing he can't outrun. That mystery inside his heart, that burning question in the dark. She doesn't know if he's chasing it or if it's chasing him. June stops Jacob. "I want to go home now," she says. "I need to tell you something first. Can we get a drink and sit down?" "I already know." "No, you don't understand. I'm going to be leaving this place." "I know, creep. I've always known," she says. "I can't say more. You don't need to." There is loud music blasting out the doors of a club. People are moving in all directions. There's a guy asleep on a bench, sitting up, his friends drawing on his forehead. A girl stops and throws up in the rubbish bin and then kisses her boyfriend, and they zigzag away holding hands. June looks at Jacob. Why on earth would you want to leave all this behind? Jacob just stands there. You're going to miss this holy mess. June nestles herself into Jacob. You're not a mess. Jacob attempts at a joke. June smiles. I guess the ending is always the same, she says, no matter how much you want it to be different. Jacob moves June's hair out of her eyes. For a moment there I thought we were in trouble. The night seethes and churns around the hugging sleepwalkers. The currents of time rush and swirl through them. The tide is coming. The waves rise up, and then they fall, and like ghosts, they vanish. Chapter 5. 1,000 kisses later, Jacob and June are living beneath the waves. The planet is alive, its green fingers strum at the currents. A living landscape blooms for them, teeming with alien life. The two sleepwalkers breathe underwater in a world of new colors and new physics, with new equations for love, such as the deeper they dive, the higher they get. They no longer walk, they swim, like human fish traversing submerged mountains and valleys and forests, with slow dancing trees and rocks with eyes that watch them. It's not long until Jacob flies, but they measure time in kisses, and so they live for now in a sweet corn multiverse of nearly endless moments. Time is not fixed, it is just a theory. They seek forever in every day, with lips that brush up against infinity whenever they meet. But sometimes they wake to rough seas. The whirlwind of longing comes from out of nowhere. Every kiss is made more intense by a veiled anger. Anger is necessary in battle. Theirs is a battle with time. The anger is made hotter by love. Their love has its own microclimate, and there is no shelter from the storms. It is the last day of autumn, and Jacob has spent a week at sea with his friend Adam. He is on his way back to June, but she has not answered his messages, and her phone has been switched off. She does that sometimes. Disappears. Lately she has been doing it when she's right there beside him. Jacob stops on the way home at the edge of town and sits on his car roof looking out at the bay, the jagged city climbing like giant stairs out of the water in the distance. He always feels good after a week at sea with Adam. Every day before dawn they set out on Adam's boat. Adam calls it the temple. The darkness gradually drains out of a blue dome sky, the sea a sheet of glass. They load the 100-meter lines with bait on the way out, and then lower the anchor and drop the lines. Watch them sink to the bottom, and then they wait for it. The sun arrives. The moment it touches the horizon, the sea explodes with light, and for a brief eternity, the world is a vast golden temple. It lights up every dark corner of Jacob's mind, and all the things hiding there scurry to find shelter, but there is no hiding from the bright eye in the sky. Adam calls it the divine orgasm. I have a feeling this is what it feels like to be born and to die, he once said. And Jacob replied, so then maybe we die and are reborn each day. To which Adam replied, exactly, and I am Adam, first man, but everyone's task is to be eternally first man, to see everything for the first time, every day. One must never miss the sunrise. It's the main event. Jacob recorded all this in his mind. On the last day there was a storm, and the waves were high on their way back to the jetty. Jacob loves the sea when she is angry. They arrived wet and tired, hair stuck to their brows and cheeks red with action, wide grins across their faces. After selling fish to the wholesaler, they went to the pub to drink a beer and say goodbye. Adam is Jacob's only friend, aside from June and his mother. But Adam understood him from the start. On the first day of school, he took him under his big arm and instinctively knew that it was his job to help steer him safely through the booby-trapped world. The schoolyard was treacherous terrain for Jacob, and without Adam he would not have survived. Jacob's love for Adam is deep and grateful and forever. Adam raised his mug of beer and banged it against Jacob's. Jacob said, "Thank you, my good friend." "No goodbyes, buddy," Adam said. "But this is the last time I'll get a chance to say it." "No," Adam said. "It is the first. Remember, always the first." Adam has the kind of smile that renders everything he has said before it beautiful and true. He smiled that smile for the first time. It's night time when Jacob climbs down off the roof of his car and continues on towards June and Jimmy. He arrives an hour later at their shack and sees June sitting at her desk through the window. Jimmy runs out to greet him and lets out a howl of, "Where have you been?" Then June comes down the porch stairs like a slow avalanche. Her slight frame belies her heaviness. There is a wild storm brewing. Like the sea, Jacob loves and fears June when she is angry. Jimmy looks at him with pity and takes himself inside to hide under the desk. Jacob takes a deep breath and braces himself, ready to ride the whirlwind. "Are you okay?" Jacob asks, wrapping his arms around June. She remains stone still. She wishes she could be angry with him. She tries. Yes, why wouldn't I be? It is a half-hearted attempt. "Creep, I'm here, it's me." Jacob looks her in the eyes. "Are you? Is it?" She looks back at him. Jacob starts singing. He knows it's cheating, but he also knows it will do the trick. "Half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it just to reach you, Julia. Julia, ocean child calls me." June is angry, but Jacob has a sweet voice, and she can't resist singing along. "Julia, sleeping sand, silent cloud, touch me." Jimmy pokes his head out the front door, checking if it's safe to emerge. He loves to hear them sing together. He joins them and sits at their feet, and sensing the longing, he howls softly. "Let's sleep outside tonight," Jacob suggests. They take blankets and head up the mountain and spend the night huddled together, the three of them. The night weaves its web of stars. They wake now and then and talk, half awake, half asleep. And now and then a meteor burns across the sky. They press together ever closer, but never close enough. Jacob knows he cannot leave. He wakes with the sun, all his dreams forgotten. He is alone. Chapter 6. The weather has been eerily perfect. Day after day of vast skies and sunshine. Light winds blow soft across a blue diamond sea. June has been gone for a week now, and Jacob hasn't heard from her. All he knows is when he woke up she was gone. So was Jimmy. He tried her mother and a friend, but they didn't know anything, or at least that's what they said. Jacob spends the nights at level 6 working and training, preparing for the fast approaching voyage. Each day he arrives home when the sun is already up, sleeps for a few hours and then wanders through the forest and then up and down the beach as if he might find June there. He sits at the end of the pier waiting for a storm that never comes. Jacob wakes one afternoon drenched in sweat. Every part of him burns and aches. He falls in and out of sleep, unable to stay awake for very long before fever drags him back down into dreams that swarm and plague him. He is sorting through boxes, opening and closing drawers in a dusty dresser, going through browned newspapers and damp wooden cupboards filled with faded photographs and jewellery and biscuit tins of letters and foreign currency notes and pencil sketches and paper clips and watches that stopped years ago. He wakes up, his mind still searching, but what for? There is something, it's receding into the stratosphere of his consciousness, undefined and diffuse, headed for oblivion, and it's gone forever. Exhausted, he passes out again and resumes his search. It takes all his strength, but he feels he will not survive, imprisoned in these 4 walls. Night falls. He wraps himself in a blanket and lets the cool air soothe his lungs. He talks to the moon, to June, to anyone or anything who might be listening. He is not awake, but he is not dreaming. Tell me, moon, what would you do? Silence. The clouds disperse. The moon removes its mask. Jacob unwraps himself and lies naked beneath the night sky. He hears a voice, his mother's voice. What does it look like? Jacob's mother lifts him up onto the chair and he looks into the eyepiece of the telescope. A hat? Jacob says. Yes, it's called the sombrero galaxy. A sombrero is a type of hat. A magical shiny hat? Yes, my darling. There are billions and billions of stars in that sombrero, stars just like our sun. And each star is 100 times bigger than the earth. How do they all fit? He whispers, peering into the telescope at the shining disk. How do all your beautiful questions fit into that tiny head of yours? Jacob nods. Can we go there? He says. Silence. The moon waxes a smile. Jacob hears a voice again. This time it's June's. How far away is it? Now June is looking into the eyepiece of the telescope. Jacob is looking at June. 1,000,000 lifetimes away. I had a funny dream, June says, still studying the sombrero in the sky, that we lived 1,000,000 years and didn't see each other for all that time. And then we met and it had been so long we'd forgotten each other. So we started again. We did it all differently, but it was the same. What did we look like? Jacob asks. Like ancient newborn babies. I'm glad we found each other again, Jacob says. I asked you in the dream how you found me. You said, by the light of 1,000,000,000 tiny setting suns. June looks at Jacob, meteor eyes, comet ponytail. Then she vaporizes and Jacob is alone again with the moon. The moon is indifferent, hit so many times and scarred all over, it is invulnerable now. Jacob wishes he could be the moon, just for tonight. He lies on his back and listens to the eons yawn like sleepy lions. Time stretches out and then settles down to rest in its long cosmic slumber. All the lights in the sky go out. Jacob wakes up in bed. He doesn't know what day it is, nor the time, but it is light outside and his fever has broken. Beside him is a thermos of tea and some fruit and a red dahlia in a vase. Standing up against the vase is an envelope. To Jacob, love, June. Chapter 7. Jacob runs the shaver across his head and watches in the mirror as the long blonde strands fall to the floor. He has always viewed his body as a machine, each part performing a function, its only meaningful beauty in its functionality. He is thin now, after his sickness, and without June around, he eats just once a day. He looks at himself in the mirror, head shaved, in underwear and singlet, thin but muscular, his skin translucent with veins like tree roots running up and down his limbs. He does not think he will miss this body. It will simply be one machine replaced by another. All he can think about is June. He waits for her to call all day and all night. Even when he sleeps, he waits. He knows she won't. He reads the note again, hoping he'll find something different this time, something that might hint at an invitation to hope, one last chance instead of a last goodbye. Dear Jacob, it's hard to say goodbye, so I'll skip that and go straight to the hardest part, remembering you. But it's the most beautiful part too. I love you, June. P.S. I'll see you in another life. You can find your way back to me by the light of a billion tiny setting suns. Jacob runs up the mountain along the narrow path carved out by him and June over time. Before long it will be overgrown and will disappear. He picks wild blackberries. He listens to the morning birds call to each other from high branches. The faces in the knots of the trees watch him with sad eyes. He recites the postscript to the trees. You can find your way back to me by the light of a billion tiny setting suns. They sway in unison, a sorrowful slow dance of clairvoyant wisdom, as if to say, we've known all along. Known what? Jacob asks. The wind whistles through the trees. He finishes packing his things and loads the car, and then closes up the house. He walks down to the water and stands at the end of the little wooden pier, where he sat in gentle nights of wind and stars. He inhales the ocean air. He is trying to take in those evenings, to take them with him. His parents are waiting on the front porch when he arrives. His mother hugs him and doesn't let go. His father shakes his hand and strokes his cheek. From the beginning, Jacob was unlike either of his parents. There was never any resemblance. He was an alien. Because Jacob's mother carried him and then fed him, she always felt he was of her flesh, but his father, somewhere deep down, felt he was made of different stuff to him, as if he was not forged from flesh and blood. It didn't diminish his love for him. He loved him with an extra fascination. Your dad made your favorite meal, his mother says, and I made dessert, apple crumble. Thank you, Jacob says, smiling, although he hasn't been hungry for days. His father stares at him, leaning on the kitchen bench, his hands spread out on the marble. He is not a big man, but his hands are thick and strong, built for manipulating matter, for building things and pulling things apart. He is getting older. Jacob used to count the grey hairs in his beard, but now it is a silver fur that grows from just below his eyes all the way down to his chest. "How long will you stay?" his father asks. "A few days. I have to leave on Friday." "Will you have time to help me with something?" "I've got all the time in the world," Jacob says, putting his arm around his mother. The next morning, Jacob wakes to the smell of coffee. He walks down the sleeping corridor of his childhood to the kitchen. His mother gets up from the table when she sees him and pours him a cup. "Good morning." "Morning, Mum. How did you sleep?" "Lots of dreams." "I dreamt that you had already left." His mother stops, unable to speak. "I'm still here, Mum. I'm not leaving yet." He bends down and wraps his arms around her. She holds his arms and squeezes them. "Are you feeling okay?" she asks. "I'm okay. Are you?" "Don't worry about me, sweetheart." "Where's Junie?" "And Jimmy?" She looks up at Jacob. "I don't know. They left. I think they're gone." "Darling," his mother says. "It's okay, Mum." Her eyes fill with tears. "My little star man, my baby boy." Jacob feels an ache like the faraway rumble of thunder. "Your dad's outside." Jacob walks out the back door into the morning sunlight. His father is bent over a pile of wood with an open toolbox beside him and a hammer in his hand. Years of standing beside his father wearing an oversized tool belt around his waist, handing him tools and watching him carefully, patiently, flash before his inward eye. He remembers his father would say, "The human hand, they still haven't invented a tool that's better." "You kept it?" Jacob says. "I thought you might need it one day," his father replies. The day Jacob met June, he was 7 years old. He asked his father to help him build a rocket. "I want to fly to the sombrero in the sky and see the stars." He told Jacob to bring him a pencil and paper, and he drew up a blueprint. All the leaves in the trees were red and orange and yellow, so it must have been autumn. They got up at dawn and started work in the cool, misty light. June had moved in next door a few months before. She heard banging from Jacob's yard, so she climbed the fence to see. "What are you doing?" she called out. Jacob remembers seeing her for the first time. Her pale rose-colored face and coal-black hair. "We're building a rocket," Jacob said. "Would you like to come and help?" his father asked. June's mother brought her over. She sat beside Jacob and watched him hammer in a nail. Each strike of the hammer was precise and firm. She sat close, her arm touching his side, feeling each blow reverberate through his small body. "Do you want to have a go?" Jacob asked her. June nodded, and Jacob handed her the hammer. Her father got the nail started, and then June took a few swings, missing the nail each time. She looked at Jacob. He smiled and said, "Keep trying." When night fell, Jacob's mother brought them cups of soup, and they ate and looked up at the stars, and Jacob told June about his plans to go there. "Can I come?" she asked. "Yes," he said. Jacob and his father spend the day fixing the wooden rocket. They talk like they used to about all sorts of things. They always talked while they worked together, but if they sat down to have a conversation, the words didn't seem to come. As they hammer and saw and sand and paint, they talk about the world, books, their football team. Jacob asks if his mother will be okay. His father asks about Jacob's upcoming voyage. He doesn't ask about June. But in the middle of the night, Jacob's father wakes up and walks outside. With a chisel, he carves out their names in the rocket made of wood. Jacob and June. Chapter 8. Jacob wakes from black sleep. No pain and no not pain, lock-trapped, no give, no movement, no warm, no cold, no touch, no flesh, no wondering what, not even time passing, but not nothing, a kind of distant inkling of an ache without location, a ring without a ding, a shine without light, a distant, diffuse, creeping itch expanding slowly, taking over from a single point of young Genesis not quite, to an almost thought blooming and expanding, like quick liquid metal filling the expanse of mind, an ocean hardening, a numerical ocean of electric dreams. Jacob doesn't know where he is or what time it is. There are no lingering dreams or leftover dream artifacts. The usual images of the sea or of waves counted as they roll in, or of June, swirling around in the wake of his sleep. He is not fuzzy-headed or lethargic. His mind is clear as polished glass, and his body is pleasantly numb. Normally he would open his eyes and stretch his limbs before getting out of bed to make coffee, but he feels no need to stretch, and he has no desire for coffee, and it occurs to him that he is not in bed at all. Jacob notices that he is suspended mid-air. He is not frightened by this. It feels quite normal, the way something strange can seem perfectly normal in a dream, but he is not dreaming. He is suspended above a sea of quicksilver blue, pale and perfectly flat, like tightly stretched skin. It is not daytime, nor is it nighttime. He has an uncomfortable feeling, not so much physically uncomfortable, but a feeling that something doesn't add up. And then he feels like he is underwater, and therefore he thinks he needs to breathe. But he hasn't taken a breath since he woke up, and he notices then that there is no need to breathe. In fact, there doesn't seem to be a need for anything. It's as if need no longer exists. He does have the desire to move though, but it's not a desire fueled by need. It's a desire more like that of a wave to reach the shore, a desire like that of an electron to be near its nucleus. And as he becomes aware of this new kind of desire, he begins to move, and he feels like he used to feel when he ran, without thinking, effortlessly, without a reason, just to be, like a wave or an electron. But he is not running. He is flying. He is flying, but it feels just like swimming in an ocean of numbers. He hadn't noticed it at first. There was nothing to notice. It was all just as it had always been. Jacob had always seen the world in numbers. Everything counted. The second succeeds the first. Time ticking. Distance measured from here to there. The zero longing for the one. That's how he found order in the chaos. He found the numbers in the world around him. But now the numbers are the chaos, and he finds the world in the numbers. A shoreless numerical sea of numbers moving in all directions, colliding and combining, multiplying and dancing and forming and reforming, like waves appearing and then disappearing. Everything ebbing and flowing, expanding and contracting, time swirling, time coming and going and coming and going. When the time comes for Jacob to jet off into the night beyond days and nights, he realizes he has grown to love this strange place. He has spent many hours traversing the planet whilst preparing for the long journey ahead, speeding high over the hot sea and swooping down low into the sawdust valley, making soft waves in the fine white dust. He has gotten to know its vast vistas and its tiny details, every cliff and every crack, and this kind of knowing feels a lot like love. It is a love that soon will amount to a speck in the distant darkness behind him. And yet, Jacob is far from everything now, further from anything than anyone has ever been. 20 years have passed, 20 more to go, and yet, as his wings cut through the void like pure silence, he remembers. His memory is so perfect now that he can live inside it, as if it's entirely real. It's so real that he forgets each time that it's a memory and that he has lived it over and over again. He forgets so that he can remember, and he remembers so that he can forget. What is real is determined by what is remembered and what is forgotten. What is and was and will be. Jacob is utterly still as the world goes hell for leather past him, as his destination hurtles towards him, as the cosmos assembles itself again and again, perpetually around him. The future eats the past in giant, hungry mouthfuls. Jacob begins again, each time counting the steps to June's door, and the kisses between them, and the leaves on the tree as they walk past it, hand in hand, and the eyelashes on her eyelids, and the times she cries, and the times it rains, and the changes of weather in her eyes, and the storms rolling in as he sits on the pier and waits to feel it, to feel her wash over him again and again. He is Jacob of numbers. She is June of the sea. She appears like a wave rolling, rolling, and then she's gone.